The 90s, when everything was all about being extreme. And not just your ordinary extreme, extreme with an X. With one of the big ones being the X Games. What does the X stand for? Being too extreme. BMX, skateboards, halfpipes, all putting on a show. And the most famous of these competitors, no doubt, was none other than Tony Hawk. Everyone knows Tony Hawk, but not everyone knows what he looks like. Skateboarding was huge in the 90s. It's part of 90s culture, so of course they made a game about it. Why not combine gaming and skateboarding together? And while you're at it, just plaster one of the most famous skaters out there on the cover title. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about this. Tony Hawk's Underground. The first Tony Hawk game to not be followed by the subtitle Pro Skater. 4 exactly before I kicked the bucket. Man, did it have a good run. But by the time Tony Hawk's Underground came out, it was 2003. Times had changed. It had been about 8 to 9 years since the heyday of the X Games. The 90s were over. Out was the flashy and loud ads, and in was new metal. But what was still around was Tony Hawk games. Underground definitely shook up the mold for what was a Tony Hawk game. In Pro Skater 104, there wasn't a story. It was basically just choose a level, complete task, skate, go to the next level. But in Tony Hawk's Underground, you can actually get off your board and roam around freely. And oh, there's a story too, I guess. I think everyone knows the story, and if you don't, let me summarize it for you. Tony Hawk's Underground is a rags to riches story that involves international incidents, felonies, betrayal, and the Russian mob. It's actually a pretty good game. The gameplay is fun, level design is pretty good. I wouldn't say there's any boring levels here except for like maybe one. And the soundtrack is pretty good, and the story is good. Not the greatest, but good. This was my introduction to Tony Hawk. My cousin owned it because a friend of ours had given it to him, and we spent hours on the weekends playing Free Skate, King of the Hill, that one mode where you try to outscore the other, and also playing the story. It's actually not that long, maybe 3-ish hours. You'll get through most of the levels in 15 or 30 minutes or so, but all of them are pretty good. Except San Diego, that one is just a little boring. It just feels like it drags on, and it's not the most interesting level to play on, but I would say this is the best Tony Hawk game. It has a good soundtrack, fluid gameplay, cheats, secret characters, secret levels, parkour, and driving. That's weird. Now that I'm thinking about it, they appear in every level, and there's always at least one mission where you use them. It seems unnecessary, with the only reason I could think of is so kids could be like, wow, this game is so cool, it has driving and skateboarding. Driving is not the main focus, so the sound, physics, and handling aren't exactly the best. So going into the levels and story, New Jersey is the first level. It's nice, simple, and decently sized. You have the sewer area, the houses, the playground, the train area. There's pretty good spots here to skate and do tricks, with some spots only being accessible if you're good enough to get there. This one's fun, and you just can't forget the out of bounds glitch. The moon jumping cheat was definitely broken, and it allowed for a lot of glitches. Other cheat codes were, it was just perfect manual, perfect sketch, perfect grinding, stuff like that. But I remember when my cousin and I would look up glitches like this one and spend way more time than we probably should have doing the glitches and finding where else we could do them, like in Hawaii. We just thought this was so cool, going to areas you aren't supposed to and seeing where we could go and just how far we can take it, and maybe just see what else was out there, only to fall through the map once we reach the end of the collision. Good times, good times. But back to New Jersey. It manages to feel alive, because you have the minor characters that you interact with in missions, the drug dealers, the racer gang, the guy who makes the tombstones. It actually feels like a community. Then you get chased out of the city by drug dealers after your buddy Eric sets their car on fire. And that's how you get to the next level, Manhattan. This is another good one. The power lines over the water, the banks, the plaza, the harbor, the highway, the waterfront, the JP building. This is a pretty decently sized map with a lot of different places to go to. This is definitely the second most atmospheric level in the game for me personally. It actually feels like a big city. While here, you record yourself doing tricks at points around the map to get a sponsorship from Stacy Peralta, which you get after doing tricks over a burning car. So with Peralta impressed, he sponsors you and then he sends you to Tampa, featuring maulings and everything. It's alright, nothing special. The Tampa Am contest is held here, so that's a pretty decently sized skate park. And then there's a boat you could do tricks on, and a goat and a cop. I have no idea what this means, but apparently this is a recurring Easter egg in the series. It's also here that you get betrayed by your buddy, Eric. Yeah, him again. He signed himself up for the contest, but not you. Of course, this comes after you spent an entire chapter doing stuff for the cops to get him out of jail, so you don't get to compete. That is until you impress Tony Hawk with your skills. Then he gets you into the contest where you just demolish Eric. After this, you get the chance to be signed by a professional team. It's not that big of a choice, honestly. Just go whichever one is your favorite or has your favorite skater on. All it really does is just to unlock their demo video and interface theme for the menus. And for the team shirt, you could just equip that in the create a skater at any point in time. Don't worry, we'll get there. Me and my cousin, we always went with Birdhouse because, well, that was the team Tony Hawk was on, and the game was only named after him, so it seemed like the best choice. And the team manager, well, he's the same guy no matter what team you pick. So you go to the next level in San Diego. Definitely my least favorite one. It's fine, it's not bad, just boring. It's based off Balboa Park, the one in San Diego, not Turlock. Those are apartments. And man, this does not do Balboa Park justice. Here you get accustomed to the Pro-Am skater life, partying all night, photo shoots, and oh, also Eric is here for some reason, having been signed by the team for some reason. Things are tense, of course, and then you do your first demo. That's pretty much it. Like I said, the level is just fine. Anyways, the next one is Hawaii, and this one is actually pretty fun. You have the pools, the wallows, the international marketplace, the rooftops, multiple skate parks, and the statue, which I'm not going to embarrass myself with trying to pronounce. There is a lot of stuff going on here. This is the most atmospheric level. It's just so lively and bright. Not to mention the helicopter stunt you do at the end of the game. You thought doing tricks over a burning car was this game's peak? How about doing it 100 feet in the air over a helicopter and landing on the Pink Hotel? Oh, that must have hurt. But it's fine, we're young. The international market, based off the one in real life, is pretty cool and interesting too. And then there's the evil Tiki Head. Oh, the evil Tiki Head. This is something that always intrigued me and my cousin. It was really strange. We never played any of the previous Pro Skater games, so we never experienced the haunted house bits in those games, so just randomly coming across this was really weird and cool for us. We would just enter and try to attack the evil Tiki inside, but we were never able to do that. You can't. And then the wallows, those are pretty cool. It's cool how you could just skate down this sewage looking place, and then also like grind on the houses, and this dog's pretty funny too. Oh, and you also unlock Venus from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 here. Oh, spoilers. So after that, you go to Vancouver for the Slam City Jam. The most accurate level in terms of design, detail, and layout. Other than that, there's not really much else to say. There's the hotel, and then the ice rink, because it's Canada. So after that is the Slam City Jam, the level where it's all about skating, so it's the most like the previous Pro Skater games. You enter as a pro even though you're an amateur because Eric stole your footage by editing the helicopter stunt to make it seem like it was him. So he took the spot that was meant for you. So you essentially did it out of spite. Here you have half pipes, you can go onto the stands and grind the rails, the speakers, the Tron at the top, the scaffolding, and there's also a glitch that allows you to go into the stands. This level is pretty cool. And you can hear a crowd cheer you on and react to what you do, even though there's hardly anyone in the stands. You know, I have the sneaky suspicion they may be piped in. So, of course, you being the main character, win the whole thing. Then you go to Moscow. The Moscow Kremlin, to be exact. You have the Red Square, Lenin's Mausoleum, the Kremlin Palace and Tower, St. Basil Cathedral, and it also has you can even run and skate on the walls, knock the guards down by going past them, do tricks and grind on tanks, and disrespect a bunch of Russian landmarks and monuments. Despite all that, I don't really find this one that interesting, so this level ends with you and your buddy Eric crashing a tank on a joyride gone wrong. So you get kicked off the team and get put into a Russian prison until the US Embassy bails you out, something which would never happen in real life. So now that you're out, your team has left you because Eric completely threw you under the bus. You know, this is 3 times Eric has backstabbed us, and it's been like 2 times where the main character has taken him back as a friend. I don't know why he keeps doing that. How does that saying go again? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times. Well, stop fooling me. So, with no way to go home, you have to do a couple of odd jobs for definitely not the Russian mob until they eventually are able to get you home. And man, was this mission needlessly annoying. You have to smuggle something across the map, and that requires you to play The Floor is Lava Putin edition. You can't get spotted by the guards, and they actually hear your footsteps, and you make it worse, you can't touch the ground, or you have to start all over. And once they hear your footsteps and look in your general direction, you're screwed because they will not look away. So you might as well just start over because there's no way you're getting through this. This took a few attempts until I saw there was a wire I could have used. So yeah, I think I made this one more complicated than it needed to be. So that's basically the last level in the story, because after this you go back to New Jersey. They don't say how much time has passed, but apparently enough time for Eric to become a millionaire and start a company. He meets you at the train station and taunts you, and this doesn't sit right with your character, because to him, he's just the perfect generic character. It's not about the money type of character. So you start your own team of pros to all make a video about skating. And then once you do that, actually you have a few challenges you could do, ranging from Tony Hawk Pro Skater Challenge, verting and stuff like that. But after all that, it goes over well, and then Eric taunts you again, but this time he taunts you with the tape from Hawaii, the one with the trick over the helicopter. Things get even more tense, and then Eric challenges you to face him around the city for the tape. This wasn't exactly the easiest as a kid, especially since he could throw fire at you for some reason. Now as an adult, it's whatever, but you beat him and get the tape back. But if you beat this in sick mode, you just knock him out when he taunts you with the tape, which honestly caught me and my cousins off guard when it happened. We just weren't expecting it. But there's a tell if your character is gonna knock Eric out. Something we found out pretty quickly. If your character is gonna knock him out, Eric will tap your character with the tape. Whenever we didn't see that, we would be disappointed. So that's basically it for the story. Of course, you have 3 Pro Skater 2 levels you can unlock, Venus Hangar and School, but those are for another time. The only thing I'll say is, man, Venus has changed a lot. But there's one more level. After completing the game, you unlock Hotter Than Hell, which is in Australia. It takes place during a music festival or something. There's 4 letters around that spell out Kiss, and get them all and they play a concert for you. I guess Kiss was one of the main selling points of this game because they have 3 songs in this game: Rock and Roll All Night, Lick It Up, and Call of Thunder. And then Gene Simmons was an unlockable character, which if you use him here and start the concert, there's now 2 of them. And this level shares a name with the Kiss album. So I don't think that was a coincidence. For the level, you can grind on the scaffolding and the lines on the floor, go through a ring of fire, use a buggy, but other than that, it's kind of bland. It's just a giant desert at sunset, so it's just fine. That's all the levels in the game as well as the story. So now we have Create a Park. It's okay. I don't remember much from it other than it was just alright. I don't nearly have enough creativity to create a park, but I remember creating a park that was really high up in the sky. So next is create a skater, and this is pretty good, I would say. You can choose either a male or female. The male, no matter what you do, will always look up looking pretty similar. I've never played as the female though, so I have nothing to say about that, but the male is alright. Like I said, he's kind of generic. The goody two shoes, the skating prodigy. And then, for this customization, you have quite a bit of hairstyles, hats, shoes, shirts, pants, shirts, logos, tattoos, size, height, build, character dimensions, accessories, helmets, backpack, and knees. This is actually a pretty deep character creation. There's enough here to make WWE games jealous and put Fight Forever to shame. You can even add a picture of your face, but I'm not messing with that. This is an old 2000s game after all. For the logos, you can add a logo to your shirt, backpack, and helmet. You don't get to move them around or resize them, but the logos look good, so there's not really a reason to mess with them. The only thing that's not good about this is editing the color, because you change one thing, it changes the whole thing instead of a specific section like in modern games. The game's age is definitely showing with that one here though. And then there's create a deck. It's okay, again, I'm not that creative to create my own board. So next you got your unlockable guest characters. Previous guests include Spider-Man and Darth Maul. They're pretty heavy hitters. So here we get Gene Simmons and Iron Man, but pre-MCU Iron Man, so not that big of a deal. And then beat the game on sick mode, and then you unlock Thud, also known as that one from the intro. So it's okay. Like I said, this was pre-MCU, so not a lot of people knew or particularly cared who Iron Man was. As for Gene Simmons, Kiss was still doing alright. I mean, I even knew who he was, but compared to previous games, I guess this lacked a bit of star power on the guest side. I mean, you got pros and returning skaters from Pro Skater, but that's about it. Oh, and you just can't forget the demo. The old days when demos from sister development teams would be included as a bonus in the main game. Most Wanted had From Russia with Love, Underground 2 had Burnout 3, and vice versa. Well, Tony Hawk's Underground had MTX Moto tracks. Not gonna lie, I spent a lot of time playing this, just making the character crash and trying to take out the other racers. So, wait, was I 8, 9? Child me was easily entertained. Tony Hawk's Underground is one of those games I think almost every 90s and 2000s kids grew up playing. Everyone had memories with this game, whether it be Manhattan, the helicopter jump, New Jersey. This game is part of a lot of people's childhoods, including mine, and it actually is a pretty good game that still holds up. In level design, I didn't even know just how much detail went into the levels until now, especially in levels like Moscow, Hawaii, and Vancouver, just to make them recognizable and accurate as they could be given the limitations of the time. I mean, if I was born in Hawaii and saw all the local stuff around the level, I feel pretty cool about that. It's just bad that the Tony Hawk games that came after never captured the same magic and feel as this one, but I did play American's Wasteland and Underground 2, and then I think a bit of Proving Ground. I wouldn't say they're as good as Underground, but from what I've seen, I think other Tony Hawk games did all